Hello and welcome to Weathertainment for Monday. I'm meteorologist Jeff Matthews. Remember, we try to give you three things here, the most accurate forecast you can find, teach you something you didn't know before, and that's coming into play this one, and maybe a way to make you smile at least once. Have a look at the temp trend. It's a big part of the weather story. The average high is 81, but forget about it because 86 is your forecast high for today, and then tomorrow and Wednesday, really forget about it. 90 and 92 degrees, the forecast highs for Tuesday and Wednesday, and the only cool down, if you can call it that, is for Friday of next week. Now, I want to talk about an interesting concept. It's the dew point. You've heard this mentioned by weather people and meteorologists oftentimes, but seldom explained. I'm going to explain it to you how it's measured and what it means to you. Okay, the instrument is called a sling psychrometer. It takes two thermometers, puts them on a stick. You put a sock on the lower one. You wet the sock with a spray gun, so it's soaked with water. Then you take the stick and you swirl it around. I'm not making this up. It's a sling psychrometer. You can Google it. You sling it around. The reason you sling it around is because if you take your finger and you lick it and you put it out the window of your car, not very far, of course, you don't want to injure yourself. Put it out the window of your car, and after you've licked it, what happens to your finger? It cools off. That's the moisture in the air evaporating off your fingertip. Okay, the moisture on the wet sock cools that thermometer. But the question is, how much while you're slinging it around? If the dew points are higher, the moisture content in the air is higher. That's why the dew point would be higher. And if there's a lot of moisture in the air, it's much harder to cool the air when there's a lot of moisture in it than if the air is drier or if the dew point temperature is lower. Is this beginning to make sense now? So the sling psychrometer tells you the temp and the dew point, and of course the temperature is always going to be higher than the dew point. It's either equal to or higher. So when the dew point goes up, you feel more uncomfortable. Even if the air temperature stops going up and levels off, but the dew point keeps going up through the 50s and 60s towards 70, it becomes oppressive. So at 60, you notice it. At 65, it's uncomfortable. And you're not really complaining about the temperature anymore at that point. You're really complaining about the dew point or the amount of moisture in the air. People think, oh, it's so hot out. It's not so much of the heat at that point when the thermometer levels off. It's that the moisture content is increasing and therefore reducing the capacity for Mother Nature to cool you off with any wind. There you go. That's your dew point. Obviously, I'm bringing it up for a reason, because the roof is on fire this week. There's going to be some serious warmth and humidity coming our way for the midweek period. Rain chances are Wednesday night and Sunday afternoon. It's a possibility that Friday night could need to be included, but I'm not including it for now, okay? A lot of events coming up this weekend, so check out my event cast, which is the forecast below this one. The radar shows yesterday afternoon and evening there were some storms firing up along the front that moved through Saturday night exactly as forecast. And remember, I mentioned if there was going to be any rain, it would be Saturday night after supper until the early overnight hours. And that front moving southwards that allowed us to have a brighter Sunday afternoon got far enough south before the daytime heating caused more storms to form, and now that system is just moving further and further towards and out to sea. That's the dividing line between cooler, drier air, relatively speaking now, we're talking July, and the heat and humidity that's baking the south and east, okay? This high is going to wind up moving off the coast, as you might expect it. But in the meanwhile, we have a pretty bright day for today with a mix of sun and clouds, and the same for tomorrow before another system that's beginning to gather some steam across the Dakotas and may cause some really severe weather out there today arrives. So the two highs, they both bring fair weather, but the one source region is cooler, drier, the other one is hot and humid. So as this high moves off the coast behind the cool front, there goes all the cooler, drier air, and this high nudges north and eastwards and brings with it the heat and the humidity. You see where I'm going with this, why I'm bringing up the dew points? That's going to cause the dew points to skyrocket as well as the temperature. Meanwhile, this storm is going to be percolating out in the plains. So I'm thinking, is that going to get here? If so, when? Well, if that high is here in the next 2 days, baking us, it's going to force a little storm across the plains to our west. Can't go at us. It's blocked. So it goes to our west, and that momentum takes this storm to our west as well and delays that front from getting here until Wednesday night and probably stretches it out so thin that while it causes severe weather across the Dakotas today, By the time it arrives here, the moisture has thinned out to where it's just showers and thunder showers Wednesday night. Have a look at my almanac for today, after that lesson. You can see I came pretty close on the high and the low side. Saturday, 81.54 versus 78.54, and Sunday, 83.65 versus 81.63 in my forecast. So I was a little bit cooler than it actually turned out, but pretty close in both cases. And there's that Saturday night gully washer. We actually had 3 rounds of rain and thunder, at least in central New York here. That tallied out at 73/100ths of an inch. 14 hours, 42 minutes of daylight. We lost 4 more minutes over the weekend, and we'll lose 2 more today, and I'll have your forecast if you keep it where it is.
Welcome to Intermission. Yeah, intermission.
Welcome back. Well, you didn't know there'd be so much of a lesson today, huh? Hopefully I made you smile with the sling psychrometer explanation, and you certainly got your education piece for the day. Let's hope it's accurate too. Mostly sunny and warmer with a high today about 86 and not much help from the wind. For tonight, 62 for the nighttime low, so it gets warm and stuffy, and a mostly clear night. It'll be humid though. And then as we go through your Tuesday, a repeat performance with a high about 90 degrees. Similar sky, building clouds later Wednesday, but the rain will hold off until Wednesday night, and that'll clear out in time for a bright Thursday, bright Friday, but it's questionable for Friday night, and then Saturday looks fair. Building clouds in the afternoon, they'll dissipate in the evening, but it will likely lead to thunderstorms Sunday afternoon. They could be intense, but meanwhile, be prepared for the heat and the humidity for the next 3 days. Have a great day, everyone.